The first time I talked about buying properties in Cyprus on my channel was about 5 years ago, and ever since, the real estate market in Cyprus has been growing 2 digits every single year. Hey everybody, it's Rico, and in this video I'm talking about buying properties in Cyprus and the real estate market in 2025 and beyond. Actually, just a few days ago, a client of mine who purchased an apartment in Paphos about a year ago messaged me, and he told me that his property value increased by 30% in just about a year. And this shows us that the property prices in Cyprus are increasing exponentially, and there are many reasons for that, such as obviously the tax incentives that Cyprus offers. I would say they are a key factor why a lot of wealthy individuals and businesses relocate to Cyprus, such as myself and many others. But also at the same time, you just enjoy a beautiful, relaxed and laid-back lifestyle here. Why do so many people want to leave their home country in the first place? For me, for example, it was Germany, and I was just fed up with all the busy cities, with the Western culture and politics. And so in my eyes, Cyprus is the ideal escape plan, a Mediterranean island where you can live like you're on holiday every single day. Next, Cyprus offers so many natural wonders, from the mountains over waterfalls down to sandy and rocky beaches. Also, did you know that Cyprus has the cleanest seawaters in all Europe? Cyprus is consistently ranked #1 in all seawater tests. And then also the safety. No matter where I am in Cyprus, I always feel safe. Crime basically doesn't exist here in Cyprus, and this is a reason why so many families want to raise their children here, why so many people leave places like London or Frankfurt where there is a lot of crime. And then lastly, Cyprus offers a straightforward process for the immigration, for company formations, to buy properties, for permanent residencies, and Cyprus also offers a clear path for European citizenship, which is especially interesting for non-Europeans. But okay, those are just a few reasons why I think Cyprus is the ideal place to relocate to. If you want to hear more about that, make sure to check out my channel. And now we are talking about the real estate market specifically from an investment perspective. Why should you buy a property in Cyprus in 2025 and beyond? So, property prices in Cyprus, as everywhere, are driven by supply and demand. And as Cyprus, the country in itself, is a relatively small place, I mean you can get from one end to the other in just about 2.5 hours, the supply on the island will never really be sufficient, especially if people continue relocating here at these high paces. The infrastructure in Cyprus was and is not laid out for the influx of foreigners relocating here at these high rates that we are currently seeing. And you can see that very well in cities like Paphos, for example. If you drive around Paphos, you see construction sites around every corner. Residential homes are being built, new cafes and restaurants are popping up everywhere, schools, universities and even hospitals are under construction. All of these things are clear indications for rapid growth in a city. Also, I realized that we have 2 big new bus stations in Paphos, not just 1, 2, and both of them were built within the last year, and whenever I drive by I see a lot of people standing there, and apparently the buses are even on time. Also, very interesting, I'm very good friends with the CEO of one of the biggest development companies here in Paphos and probably Cyprus, and he confirmed that 2024 was one of the best years the company ever saw in over 20 years that they operate now. For instance, in 2024 quite a few schools and universities opened here in Paphos, but just a fraction of the students have arrived in Cyprus. Let's take the American University of Beirut as an example. It's a worldwide known prestigious uni that opened its doors here in Paphos. However, last season they just had a temporary building for just about 300 students because their main building was still under construction. And just now they established their main campus for many thousands of students that will arrive next season. So now let's just think, what will happen if suddenly, out of nowhere, thousands of students will arrive in Paphos and all of them need to sleep somewhere? Interesting enough, I actually know the owner of a plot very close to the university, and he's selling his land now to AUB for just about 1 million euros. It's crazy because just a few years ago this plot was worth much less than half of that. So I'm sure you get the point when I say that the Cyprus real estate market offers big opportunities. By the way, this doesn't just go for universities obviously. Another huge factor will be the upcoming marinas in Paphos and Larnaca. Currently, Limassol has the biggest marina here in Cyprus with international shipping and a cruise infrastructure, but both Paphos and Larnaca confirmed that they will follow with their own marina in the upcoming years. They have a plan, they already got permission, and they even have financing, so it's just a matter of time now. Larnaca is set to invest over 1 billion euros into their new marina project, and Paphos follows with similar numbers, and both should start development as early as next year. However, as we know Cyprus very well, this might or might not happen. They will definitely take it siga, which in my eyes is actually a good thing. No one really knows when they will start, if they will start, how long it will take, etc, etc. And this is why in my eyes the new marinas are actually not priced into the real estate market yet. The investors simply won't believe it until they see people digging with shovels at the place. But let me tell you one thing. As soon as this happens, or probably shortly before because of inside information, the real estate market and property prices around the areas of the marina will increase like we have never seen before in Cyprus. And yes, you can quote me on that in the future. My bold prediction is that Limassol will be the next Dubai, Paphos will be the next Limassol, and Pea will be the next Paphos. And I know it doesn't make sense to most of you listening right now, but come back in a few years and watch this again and it will all make sense. And so, if you would ask me where you should invest your money in Cyprus in 2025 and beyond, I would say it actually depends on your goals. If you want a higher ROI and a faster price appreciation, definitely go with Paphos or Larnaca, as they are still under development compared to Limassol or Nicosia, for example, and they have this big opportunity with the marinas. You can still find great deals here, the prices are not inflated and overpriced. It's not as risky as Limassol because there is still so much room for growth, and you will see that once you drive around Paphos. You still see that the city is, yes, on its way to become something, but not really there yet. There is still so much room for growth in the upcoming years, and I just have this gut feeling that Cyprus will become really something. We'll really put Cyprus on the international map, and we are really in the process of becoming known worldwide. But this energy, you just sense it once you lived in Cyprus for many years and you see the progress with your own eyes. Anyway, next would be Limassol. And yes, you can buy an overpriced apartment in a skyscraper in Limassol, but don't expect to double your money anytime soon. Limassol is somewhat at its local peak already, I would say, and the growth is rather small. But actually, that's not the point of investing into Limassol. Limassol is the business hub of Cyprus. And with a property in Limassol, you buy a part of the cake, a fraction of the vision of Cyprus, of becoming the European center for startups, talent and innovation. But Limassol is a topic on its own. There are so many aspects that I could cover, but the video would get way too long. So I will definitely make videos in the future, and if you want to see them, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now we continue with Nicosia. And Nicosia is ideal if you want to find the lowest possible prices in Cyprus. Nicosia is the capital city of Cyprus and it's in the middle of the island, so Nicosia doesn't have a beach. This is the reason why property prices are, compared to the other coast cities, much cheaper, but they are actually solid investments, I would say. We have a lot of universities, a lot of semi-governmental and governmental authorities in Nicosia, and there will always be people that are going to live in Nicosia. However, I don't see the growth of Nicosia anywhere near Paphos or Larnaca, for example. So in my eyes, it only makes sense to invest into Nicosia if you have another strong reason to do so. And now, very interesting. If you're into seasonal renting, short terms, for example, Airbnb, Booking.com, whatever there is, then Ayia Napa is a very good place to look into. Why is that? Ayia Napa is actually the party area of Cyprus, and especially during summer there are so many tourists coming from all over the world. And they basically party in Ayia Napa, go to Nissi Beach, which is one of the most beautiful beaches in all over Cyprus. But as soon as the season is over, like now for example, there is literally no soul in Ayia Napa. So whereas in summer you will rent out any apartment, house, villa close to the beaches and party area for a high price, in winter it's gonna be empty. So this is where you need to think on your own, what you're really interested in. Yes, you could rent out your apartment during peak season in Ayia Napa, but it will be empty during winter. Will you stay inside yourself? Are you going to rent it middle long term? Are you going to renovate it because all the tourists that visited your apartment destroyed it after partying at night? All of those things you need to consider yourself. And if you need assistance with that, definitely make sure to reach out via the video description and we can talk about your investment. Many people also mention Northern Cyprus. If you ask for my opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to invest into the northern part of Cyprus. I have a separate video explaining why. So if you ask me, your best shot is probably either Paphos or Larnaca. And even between these two cities, there are also big differences that I will cover now. For instance, Paphos, where I live. It's very green. We have the Akamas, which is probably the most beautiful area in all over Cyprus. We have waterfalls, sea caves, stunning natural wonders, and great plots with amazing sea view where you can build your dream house. A lot of environment protected places, a lot of great beautiful beaches and cute little places where you can go to, cafes, restaurants, harbors, churches, all of that. Yes, we even have nightlife here in Paphos, but definitely don't expect Ibiza-like parties here. But if you ask me, Rico, why did you choose Paphos? There is one very big reason for that. And that is that Paphos is actually elevated. No matter where you live in Paphos, you will most likely have a sea view, 180 degrees. We have a wrecked ship standing in Clorakas and another one in Pea, which is just lovely to look at. We have amazing sunsets, and the fact that Paphos is elevated makes it so easy to find a sea view property, whereas Limassol and Larnaca, for example, are both rather flat cities. I would say Larnaca even more. In Larnaca, second row sea front, you don't even have a sea view anymore. But here in Paphos, I live 15 minutes away from the beach, and even me, I have a lovely sea view over there and an amazing mountain view over there. And most importantly, I have peace and solitude here. On another note, both cities have an airport. The Larnaca one is actually the bigger one, but here in Paphos, the airport is sufficient. I have great connections to Germany, the UK and other Central European countries, which I'm interested in most of the times. Limassol doesn't have an airport, and Nicosia obviously also doesn't have an airport anymore. And there are many other points that I could discuss regarding each city here in Cyprus, but I decided to make a separate video for that, so definitely make sure to subscribe so you will not miss it. Now we know why to invest in Cyprus, where to buy properties, and the next question would be, what kind of properties should I look into? What should we buy? And just to be clear, I'm focusing on residential properties. I will not discuss commercial and other types of investments. So, residential properties in Cyprus are quite interesting. Most of them are communal, which means they have a complex style with multiple houses sharing a communal pool and other facilities. The same applies to apartment complexes with studios, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms and a penthouse, and all of them sharing a gym, sauna, spa, pool outside, or even on the roof sometimes. A very good example is this project in Paphos city, which I recently visited. It's an A location, 3 floors plus penthouse, rooftop and pool on the ground floor, and the starting price here was just about 200,000 euros. Then many developers also offer standalone projects, which I personally actually prefer. However, most of them are more expensive, obviously, because the developer need to invest more time into the architecture. They solely focus on one project. The plots are more expensive and they just require more unique solutions in general. A perfect example would be this mansion that I visited a while ago, which is probably the most luxurious villa I've ever seen on this island. Everything is custom made and it is a unique project that took years to finalize. It is not a copy and paste project that you see so many times here on the island. It's really something special and there were so many details that I can't even cover in this video. However, the price was whopping and I don't even want to say it in this video because you could literally also get a villa in Malibu for that. But yeah, that's actually what bothers me here in Cyprus, especially in the real estate market. There are so many local agents, greedy people that just want to take advantage of the foreigners that are uneducated, selling properties for ridiculous prices. And also, the developers piss me off sometimes, building copy-paste ugly complexes and houses which just destroy the view of the island, like a box, house, windows, IKEA furniture, sell it as high as possible. Anyway, I personally hope for the future that we have more high-quality developers that actually build beautiful houses, dreams, with souls for people that want to come here and live inside. Something you see raising your children in, something you can be proud of. But yes, sorry about my little rant here. You see, I'm very passionate about this topic. And another very important topic is actually resale versus off-plan. Off-plan in simple terms just means the property doesn't physically exist yet. It's just a construction plan. While resale means that you're buying an existing property, and both have advantages but also disadvantages. And I'm going to quickly break it down as easy as possible now. The pros of off-plan properties are that you get somewhat better value for money because there is more risk involved because the property doesn't exist yet. You obviously get the most modern designs, you get the best materials if you work with high quality developers. You have a high ROI because it's much easier to rent out a modern property than it is renting out an older property. And also what most people don't realize is that when you buy an off-plan property, by the time of the completion it already increased in value, simply because of the fact that it is existing now. And if you're then going to sell it, you're not just buying a plan, no, you're selling keys to a house that exists physically. Also, logically, modern buildings need less maintenance, there is no mold, it's better isolated, and you have new furniture. Another pro advantage for off-plan properties are the flexible payment plans, which basically means you don't have to pay the whole amount of the property yet. You basically pay a reservation fee, then you pay 30%, 20%, all of that stretch out over the time period where the property is being built. And then lastly, interesting for non-Europeans is that only with an off-plan property you have the availability and option to get a permanent residency here in Cyprus if you purchase a property of at least 300,000 euros. Now the cons for off-plan properties, and in my eyes they are the long waiting time of on average 16 to 24 months, depending on the property. Another big disadvantage for off-plan properties is the VAT, because in Cyprus, every new property that you buy from the developer itself has VAT on it. And the VAT in Cyprus is 19%. Yes, there is a special clause which can reduce the VAT, but for that you definitely have to talk to some lawyers in order to be 100% sure what kind of VAT you're paying. But in any case, all the properties have VAT, either 19% or in some cases 5%. And this leads to the pros of resale properties. So properties that already exist and you're buying them from another property owner. And the first pro for resale properties are that there is no VAT. So basically 0% taxes when you buy a resale property. However, transfer fees apply when you're buying a property. So you have a lot of other fees that apply once you're buying a resale property, but it's definitely not 19%. Another pro is that you have more options. In general, because there are so many resale properties on the market, whereas off-plan properties are being reserved and sold very quickly. But also in terms of what kind of properties you can buy. You can buy older properties, you can buy unique solutions, and you can just find something that suits more to your individual needs. Whereas most off-plan properties from most developers here in Cyprus, as I said earlier, just create these ugly box houses. And now, very interesting, another pro for resale properties is that yes, they are cheaper, but they are not more value for money. What I mean by that is that in general terms, you will transfer less money because you can find a studio apartment, a one-bedroom apartment, for example, for 150,000 euros, which you cannot find off-plan properties for. But it's not more value for money because those are the lower-end properties and there is so much work involved. As soon as you get the keys, 2 months later you will have mold. Probably the pipes are broken down, you have to invest money to fix things around the property. You find out that the balcony fell off, the doors are not working anymore, and you will then end up with the same amount that you would spend on an off-plan property, and 2 years later you just get the keys to a completely new property. So I already mentioned that the first disadvantage for resale properties are that they are more vulnerable due to outdated pipes and materials, and you just need more time and money to fix all the things. Which then also implies that there are hidden problems, hidden costs, it's not easy to rent it out, and you don't get PR. Great, so if you decided to invest into Cyprus or buy a home for yourself or your family here, this is how I would go about it, and things have changed quite a lot here. I've seen a lot of people buy and sell properties over the last few years, and I know how up the real estate market in Cyprus can be, especially for uneducated foreigners. And so in my eyes, the best way to buy a property here in Cyprus is with a trusted partner. But I'm not talking about a typical agency. The problem with most agencies is that they won't get paid for helping you. They actually get paid for selling you a property, even if the property is not the best choice for you. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every agent in Cyprus is bad. I'm sure there are good agents out there, and I know quite a few. But it's just hard to believe that an agent is unbiased if I personally know that they get 10% commission on one deal and 3% on another. Will they really go about the 3% deal if they know they can make more than 3 times the money on this one? They might as well just tell you this is the better property and you trust them, and then they will sell you a property that will have mold 2 weeks as soon as you receive the keys. Or even worse, they sell you a property from a developer that is in debt. And then you're making a reservation, you're paying the first installment, and then you find out later down the line that the developers has to close its doors because it owes millions and millions to the banks, and you will never get your money back. And because of the fact that we have so many clients that are relocating to Cyprus that are also interested in the real estate market, our chief legal officer at Tax One actually did a due diligence on most developers, and what he found out is truly shocking. So many of them are out of liquidity, which is a ticking time bomb in our eyes, because at some point they could just completely stop their developments, and there is nothing you can do about it because you signed the purchase agreement. So what I recommend to you is to just wait with your purchase. Come to Cyprus, take a look at the real estate market yourself, make some good connections, try to understand the prices here in Cyprus, see things with your own eyes, and then make a confident and bold decision. Once you talked to many independent parties, once you understand who's real and who's not, once you made your research, then you can go about making your investment. Whether it is an off-plan property or resale, whether it is Paphos, Larnaca, Limassol or Nicosia, whether it is without an agent or with an agent, I'm sure you will find the ideal property for you if you make proper research. And I'm absolutely certain that you will not regret your decision of investing into Cyprus. It all comes down to you, what you are looking for. I told you that I believe that the Cyprus real estate market is a great investment. I told you where I would invest. I told you what you should be careful of and how you should go about it. If you want to hear more raw facts and practical advice about the real estate market here in Cyprus, such as applying for loans, for example, or how to find the best deals on the island, definitely make sure to reach out via the video description, and also subscribe to the channel so I can see you in the next video.